Joe, the good state of Oklahoma got some great news this week as a really talented running back that we've talked about a lot on this show. Jaydn Ott from Cal is going to Oklahoma. Now, before I get to that, did you see that Cal lost 5 running backs in 1 week? The Brian Harsin effect is in full effect, brother.
Yeah, there's a little speculation. I talked to somebody about this week that doesn't have direct information on it, but kind of pointed something out to me. Not a lot of people like Brian Harsin. I'm just going to leave it at that. He might be rubbing people the wrong way.
How do you look at what happened at Auburn and say to yourself that he's a people person?
Yeah, that 4 running backs. 4 running backs?
No. 5.
That is insane. I really wonder what the hell. Now, separate from that, that's obviously a problem, and Brian Harsin needs to get his shit together because that is going to cause problems for them. But Ott going to Oklahoma is something that should have happened a while ago. And Oklahoma got a steal here, man. Ott could have gone to any big program in the SEC or the Big Ten and gone on to become one of the highest producing running backs in the country. We talked about him for the ACC this upcoming year and why he has limitations because he's playing in the ACC on a Cal team that has nobody else around him. He's getting to jump ship and to play for this improving Oklahoma squad. I tweeted this out and I stand by it. Getting Jaydn Ott is on the same level of Jahmyr Gibbs leaving Georgia Tech and going to Alabama. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see Jaydn Ott rush for 1,500 yards plus go on to become a top 50 NFL draft pick. He is a gifted running back.
Joe, stop. No way. That ain't gonna happen.
Watch.
You had me.
I'm not BSing.
You had me all the way sold until you brought up Jahmyr Gibbs, the Bama move. Because here's the problem with what you just said. Alabama had 4 offensive linemen that got drafted that same year that he came out. That offensive line has struggled. There's nothing that they've done at that position that should give you that much faith that they're going to be able to run the ball like that. By the way, this kid's injury prone. So I got a bad offensive line and a kid.
He had 1 year where he was hurt. So let's not call him injury prone. He had 1 year where he was
fair. Okay, fair. I have a kid that's coming off of injury, so none of it really changes for me. A kid coming off of injury and a bad offensive line. And I'm supposed to come out here and think that the kid's going to be the leading rusher in the SEC. No way. There's no way I can go there. Now, here's the one thing that I'll give you that you brought up with Jahmyr Gibbs. The kid had 95 catches at Cal. 95 catches. He had 95 catches for 736 yards and 6 touchdowns in his career in the 3 years he was at Cal. The kid is a steal if you do have a really good offensive line, which they don't. Now, when you talk about Oklahoma and you talk about bringing in Mateer, bringing in a new offensive coordinator, I will concede this. Look, I know that it could be a lot of gray area in sports, and gray areas always happen in sports. I feel like one or two things will happen. Either what happens with you just happened, or what you just said, the kid runs for 1,500 yards. Joe, and if he does that, they're going to a playoff, and John Mateer in this offense takes off. Or number 2, we have all this hype about Mateer, new offense, Jaydn Ott coming in, and because of that offensive line, they're still going to get beat. That's where I feel like that you look at Oklahoma. You have a good quarterback. Ott is a really good running back. You have some weapons at wide receiver, but Joe, they had that going into the year last year.
Come on, wait. The offensive core that they have this year, I argue, is significantly
because of the quarterback.
Better.
Well, because of the quarterback. But I mean, Joe, their entire damn near receiving core. They lost Nick Anderson, and all the rest of them are coming out of injury.
I would argue that their offensive line, which had some young guys a part of the unit last year that are able to step up, I think that their offensive line is going to be a lot better this year too. I understand the concerns, but I think that this team gets better. And I can't compare last year to this year.
It's not like that they had, young guys that were being developed. It's not like that you rolled 4 sophomores out there and you had a lot of struggles. You went to the portal, upper experienced guys that came back. And the reason that these super seniors, these 5-year seniors came back is mainly due to one thing. They weren't ready to go to the draft because they weren't that good. The only reason a kid's coming back for his 4th, 5th year like that is mainly due to the fact that they have not been good enough, and they weren't good enough. Joe, they continue to go into the portal for the offensive line. Look, I will concede. You could be right. Like, you got a lot of big things coming in with Mateer and an offensive coordinator and Jaydn Ott. But, man, I don't know if I can go there, man. They're going to end up, Joe, I feel comfortable in saying this. They're going to end up with their schedule, a top 7 strength of schedule in the country. You got Texas, Alabama, LSU. Who else do they have in there that they played? South Carolina. Like, you have a lot of teams in there that will be ranked. I don't think they play Ole Miss. I forget. Oh, you got to go to Tennessee. Well, that one's not as big as it once was.
Got to go to Alabama.
Got to go to Alabama. I mean, hold on now. Like,
okay.
I don't know if I can go there yet.
I'm not pitching that Jaydn Ott, like, I didn't bring up the record. I'm not pitching that Jaydn Ott.
Well, if he runs for 1,500 yards, they're going to a playoff. 1,500 yards? That's what Dylan Sampson for a year ago.
Well, one, I think running back success doesn't always translate to team success because it's not a position that drives team success like it once did. Second of all, we have talked about, after we've analyzed their schedule at one point this offseason, we've talked about how 7-5 is a realistic outcome. They could maybe win 8 games. I would now argue, and I still believe, let's say 1,200 yards. I think that 1,000 to 1,200 yards is a accomplishable season for Jaydn Ott this upcoming year. I think that bringing in Jaydn Ott and a weapon that explosive into this running back room takes them from a 7-5 team to a possibly 9-3 team. It increases their ceiling. I'm not saying that they get to 9 wins. I'm not saying that, like, now that you're guaranteed to get to 9 wins, but I'm saying that it increases your chances because they have a top 5 running back in the conference. I would argue that he might even be the best running back in the conference.
I would have to think on that. I'd have to think.
I'd also have to think on that. I mean,
you should have thought on that before you
well, just off the dome, it's I believe in that statement, but, like, who did we put in our top 5 running backs list? Like Cedric, our top 5 offensive weapons list in the SEC. Cedric Baxter was one of the few running backs that we put in there, and he's coming off of an injury. Like, he's better than Trey Wisner as well. There's a lot of turnover at running back in the conference.
I'm going to say something. Don't freak out. The Bo kid at Florida is going to be insane. I mean, the way that he ended the year, I mean, dog. I mean, literally stiff-arming Walter Nolan into the ground. Let's not act like fair. Okay, I don't know if he's the best. I think that there could definitely be a debate. But speaking of quarterbacks and Oklahoma, we got some breaking news here, Joe. Boy, the quarterback position continues on giving here. John Mateer has entered the portal.
You're screwing with me.
Yes. Defensive lineman David Stone has withdrawn his name from the transfer portal per Matt Zenitz.
That's a crazy thing to do. But continue. Sorry.
It's very diabolical. But we were talking about Oklahoma and brought up David Stone, which was our next talking point on Oklahoma. Joe, on this handy-dandy notepad, I literally wrote down right here that I think he goes back to Oklahoma. But David Stone has withdrawn his name from the transfer portal. I got to say, let's just call it what it is. Oklahoma's money deposited this week.
That's it. I mean, I think that would be very succinct and poignant way of placing it. Yes.
We don't really have to spend much time on this segment anymore now because he's withdrawn his name from the portal. We can do that.
Well, it's significant that he's coming back because he once was one of the highest rated defensive line recruits in his class of 2024. There was a lot of projection for what he could become. And then there was just generally this understanding that Brent Venables has been a defensive line whisperer. So you get your next, he's not like Dexter Lawrence, but you're like next Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, next guy that goes on to be a first-round defensive lineman. This is a wave, the beginning of that wave of Oklahoma Sooners that just become dominant college players to freakish NFL prospects. Him coming back is significant. I think that the frustration for Oklahoma fans was valid, and I think that this is a big move for him coming back. I would take an angle off the top of my head. I'd give a lot of credit to Jim Nagy here. I'd love to know what his impact was, but I don't think he had any. You don't think that he didn't control this situation?
No, I don't think he was the one that picked up the phone and called the booster to get the money to keep him. I think that's a Brent Venables thing. If I'm just being honest, I don't think anybody on that staff, I don't think any AD is going to touch what Brent Venables wants to do defensively. I don't. Okay. Now Jaydn Ott. If you would have asked me about that on Jaydn Ott, yes, I 1,000% think that that's Jim Nagy.
That 100%.
1,000%. The David Stone thing and the defense and the money and the recruitment and all of you're gonna let Jim Nagy be the relationship piece and the money piece for this kid when he's been there for a month and a half. There's no way.
Yes and no. I mean, I would just hope he had some sort of role in it. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Now, you know what the first thing that came to my mind?
What?
When this David Stone news just broke? This is what I tweeted. Can I tell you? Just now. Because I couldn't help myself. David Stone went in the portal on Friday night. On Easter weekend. And withdrew his name from the portal on Easter Sunday. Who does this man think he is? Jesus? who does he think he is? Like, he literally just
saying some crazy things with this segment.
Well, I'm just saying. Like,
oh my God.
I mean, gone on a Friday, rose again on a Sunday. On Easter weekend. You can't tell me that there's not parity there.
There are some comparisons that could be made. The way that you started this segment and the way that you're ending it is incredibly chaotic. I love it. I love it. I love the chaos that you're putting into the universe here. But yeah, it's great. I'm glad that he's coming back.
David Stone is the Oklahoma Jesus.
Maybe he is. Maybe he is the future.
I will say this. He played in all 13 games. He did have 6 tackles. 2 tackles of the 6 were for loss. Will be interesting to see what happens with Big David Stone, because I do think that he has the upside to be very great. And look, Brent Venables got a track record with defensive tackles, so we'll see. Exactly. Didn't Dexter Lawrence just get paid like $100 million?
Well, and Christian
Wilkins
and Dexter Lawrence, I think, are 2 of the top highest paid defensive tackles in the NFL. So I don't know why anyone wouldn't just stick around for that.
You want to hear something nuts?
Uh-huh.
You remember Dexter Lawrence was a backup for 2 years?
All of those guys were. Most of those guys didn't start right away. That's how it works. Just be patient, man. These guys will get the reward after that. They just freaking don't eat the marshmallow. Wait to eat the marshmallow. You know that? You understand the reference?
Are we talking about Mario?
No. It's like a saying for self-control, like of like discipline. Like, can you wait? Can you wait to eat, if you got a marshmallow in front of you, can you wait to eat the marshmallow in order to get the reward?
See, in the deep south, the deep south, our saying is like chocolate.